The NBA season is officially here. Preseason has began, training camps have started, and we're now less than 2 weeks away from regular season basketball. Last year, I made some pretty bold predictions that I can proudly say became true. The Warriors making the NBA Finals doesn't sound that bold right now, but at the time, it wasn't the most popular take. And the Lakers, I said they'll start their first 15 to 20 games under 500, and they winded up going their whole season under 500, so I was more than right on that one. Also, again, doesn't sound unpopular now, but I said Minnesota would make the playoffs. Minnesota made the playoffs. So let's get right to it. Bold predictions that aren't just for clickbait and stuff like that. They actually make sense, and it's some true logic behind it. A healthy, that's the key word, a healthy New Orleans Pelicans team will make the Western Conference Finals. Last year, without Zion Williamson for the entire season, only having Brandon Ingram for 55 games and only having CJ McCollum for 27, the Pelicans surprisingly took the overwhelming favorite Suns to 6 games in the first round. This was mainly behind Ingram's 27 points a game on very efficient splits. Ingram's one of the most underrated, easily forgotten 3-level scorers in this game. CJ McCollum wasn't the most consistent or efficient player in that series, not even shooting 50% one time out of those 6 games, but his volume scoring mixed with his skill set to create his own shot and kind of play off of Ingram, that really bothered Phoenix. Jose Alvarado, he was a true irritant to Chris Paul, and he completely took him out of that game 4 that tied the series 2 games apiece. Jonas Valanciunas, he destroyed Ayton on the glass in that series. So for Willie Green and that young, talented Pelicans roster, making a mid-season trade to get CJ McCollum, then making a play-in tournament, then making the playoffs, and in the playoffs, you push the overwhelming favorite Suns past their comfort zone to 6 games, plus you're getting Zion Williamson back. They have a lot to build off of. Last season, Brandon Ingram only played 55 games. CJ McCollum only played around 27 games for them, and they only played 15 games together. In those 15 games, they went 9-6, and CJ McCollum played the most efficient basketball of his life. It was a small sample size, but he played very well. This may sound a little bit crazy, but the makeup of their roster kind of reminds me of the Brooklyn Nets in a way. 2 dynamic wings that can score at all 3 levels, and a dominant paint presence who's, to me, a much better scorer than Ben Simmons. Obviously, Ben has it defensively, but Zion is a legit 30-point scorer. Ben doesn't have all that. Not sure how exactly it will come all together, but if Willie Green can get them to buy in defensively, they're not the best defensive players, and all the best teams last year, they were great defensively. It's no reason why this team couldn't challenge Golden State. The Cleveland Cavaliers will be a top 3 seed. The Cavs last year, they were one of the best defensive teams when healthy. If you look at the top 6 teams defensively last year, what do they all have in common? They all made relatively deep runs in the playoffs. All the last 4 teams standing in the playoffs last season, they were all top 6 in defensive rating. And if you look at the last 2 teams standing, they were number 1 and number 2, and the number 1 team actually won. The Cavs last season, even with the significant injuries that they had, look at where they stood defensively, right under those top 6 teams. And before Jared Allen got hurt, they were actually 4th. Now, with adding Donovan Mitchell to the mix, they're still going to have that defensive identity with a much more explosive offense. Say what you want about those Jazz teams, and I've been infamous for trashing them in the past. I know I have. That team put up a lot of points. Last year, do you know who had the best offensive rating? It was the Utah Jazz, led by Donovan Mitchell. He had the ball in his hands the 5th most, running the show, and they had the most efficient offense. For the last 3 years, again, led by D. Mitch, the Jazz have had a top 10 offense every single year. If they compare what I know would be a top 5 team defensively with what I think would be a top 10-ish team offensively, it's no way this team couldn't be a top 3 seed. It's just no way. The Lakers next season, they're going to win 50 games plus. Look, I've been down on the Lakers probably as much as anybody on YouTube, the media, whatever. Like, I've been down just like everybody else. But I told y'all in 2021, please don't ever fall for the LeBron James trap. What's the LeBron trap? Historically, this man is always best when you start to count him out. Against the Pistons in 07, when nobody thought he was going to get to the finals, they won. In 012, when they were down 3-2, they won. Against the Warriors, down 3-1, they won. When you start to count this man out, he's always been the most lethal. I know he's going into year 20, but I still don't care. LeBron as a favorite, okay, I mean, you have a fair shot, but as an underdog, I never bet against him. Also last year, I know we trashed the Lakers, Russell Westbrook being bad, whatever, and they're going to be bad this year and all that. But still, let's pump the brakes. They were missing their second best player for more than half the season. We already know the Lakers are a very top-heavy team with Russell Westbrook's contract sucking up all their money. So with them already being that thin roster-wise and them losing their second best player who's their best all-around player offensively and defensively, probably their most important player, of course they're going to be a bad team. Think about it like this. Who also in the NBA is a very good team, but an extremely top-heavy team? The Milwaukee Bucks. They fill in their pieces here and there, you know, Bobby Portis, whatever, but they rely heavily on Drew, Giannis, and Chris Middleton. We know that. Last year for the Bucks, without their second best player, Chris Middleton, they went 7-9. And with Giannis being there without Middleton, they were 5-4, almost 500. Last year out of 82 games, LeBron and AD only played 22 games together. Take all the rust, bad stuff out of it, whatever. What great team can lose their two best players or only had their two best players play less than a third of the season and still be valuable? Not too many. This season, I like the Kendrick Nunn addition. I like Patrick Beverley being there to stretch the floor offensively while still giving them that much needed grit defensively, something that they didn't have last year. I don't think Russ is going to play as many minutes as he did last year, especially if he doesn't fit, because they have so many options and he's on the last year of that deal, so they probably feel less obligated to play him. If healthy, and that's a big if because I don't know with Anthony Davis, the Lakers aren't going to be that clown show that we seen last year. I think they bounce back and they win 50 games plus. I don't even think they're going to make the play-in. I think they're going to be within those top 5, top 4, top 6 seeds. The Denver Nuggets will be the first seed and they'll win 60 games plus. Last season, without Jamal Murray and MPJ for the majority of the year, the Nuggets were the 6th seed. I still don't know how that quite happened. Nikola Jokic himself, he had a 62% winning percentage. That alone would have been tied for the 6th best record in the NBA. Now, of course, he didn't have enough help, and relying on Bones Highland, Aaron Gordon, and Monte Morris, it ran its course. But next year, he's getting back MPJ and Jamal Murray. And say what you want, the last time we seen Jamal Murray healthy, he was having a career year fresh off of a bubble run that was one of the greatest of all time. Call it the bubble, whatever, but he did that. Also, MPJ, I know he isn't the best defensively. He has some bonehead moments. I question his fit on that team sometimes, but he still is a 6'10" efficient, effortless scorer. The last year, 9 games, okay, I'm gonna throw that out. But the last time we seen him healthy, he was averaging 19 on some crazy, godly efficient splits. The last time we seen Denver healthy and whole, they were in the Western Conference Finals. Yes, it was the bubble, but it happened, and that was without a seasoned, much improved MPJ. Barring any type of major setbacks, and if they're healthy, I believe they can win 60 games and possibly, matter of fact, I'm gonna say it, they're gonna win that first seed. I'll just say it. Giannis in 2021, he joined Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon as the only players to win an MVP, a Defensive Player of the Year, and a Finals MVP. Clearly, that's some good ass company, but only Hakeem Olajuwon in 94, he's the only player to win a Defensive Player of the Year, an MVP, and a Finals MVP in the exact same year. LeBron should have did it in 13, but it never happened, so whatever. He did it, but it didn't officially happen. I believe this season, Giannis officially does that. For the last 4 seasons, Giannis is the only player to be both top 6 in Defensive Player of the Year voting and MVP. In 2020, he won them both, but clearly he didn't win the finals. This season, healthy, I think he does all 3 for the first time since Hakeem did it, 27 years ago. Last playoffs, I picked the Bucks to make the finals with the Warriors, and they just fell short because Chris Middleton got hurt. This year, even with the added competition, I still think they're the favorites. I know that's a very specific prediction, but I also think that's a very realistic prediction, so I'm excited to see how this plays out.
Just also kind of on the regular season, you finished, I think, 3rd in MVP last year. Obviously, won MVPs before. As far as, I think your odds are kind of toward the top in that as well. What would it mean to you, maybe, if you could win another MVP?
It'd be nice to have in my storage room another trophy that I don't really see.
If you guys like this video, like the video. If you made it this far, comment one of your bold predictions. I told you mine, comment yours, and tell me how you feel about mine. Make sure you guys turn on post notifications. Content will ramp up. It's October. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. Follow my social media sites. Do all that great stuff, guys. Until next time, as always, stay tuned.